Good Sunday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? I am Kendrick, the sports guy. Again, good Sunday afternoon, and you are watching TFG Sports Media Sports Show, the best 30-minute sports talk show on social media. And I hope you're having a great Sunday. Not a lot going on sports-wise. We got the NBA, got some games coming up on today, but all is quiet. But this upcoming week, we got a lot to talk about, and it's going to be the NFL and the Super Bowl, which we will be talking about today. But it's kind of bittersweet because we know this week ends our NFL fix, and we all have to get ready to switch over to whatever sport of your choice. The NBA, most likely for me. Then we got baseball. Training camp's going to be jumping off in a couple of weeks, and obviously then we'll have March Madness. But until then, it's going to be all NFL, all Super Bowl talk. We're going to talk about that. But before we jump into that, make sure you come in, make sure you like, make sure you share the program. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channels. That is TFG Sports Media and Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SportZHustle on YouTube. Make sure you like and follow them both on Facebook, and you can also follow me on Facebook, Kendrick Henderson, Kendrick Roline Henderson. You can follow me there. You can also follow me on Instagram at KDrick1969. That's KDRICK. And you can follow me on TikTok, Kendrick Henderson 51. So again, we're talking NFL. What's up, Derek Key, my classmate, my brother? What's going on? Hope all is well, brother. Thanks for popping in and joining me for a few minutes. I hope all is well on your end, brother. Again, thanks for popping in, Derek. That's my class, my JT classmate, class of 87. We're going to always be known as John Tyler, but it's called Tyler High now. But anyway, that's beside the point. So again, we're going to talk a little NFL. We're going to talk a little bit of MJ as well. And the comments Rasheed Wallace said on a podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to end the show with a Black History sports moment. But let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. Again, make sure you come in, like, comment, let me know you're in here so we can chat, rap a taste. But we got to get to some news that just actually broke probably this morning from a source, a reliable source that I have, and I won't tell you where I got it from, but it's a reliable source. But there's going to be a little bit of a distraction for the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. It is reported that his father, Patrick Mahomes Sr., was arrested on Saturday night on suspicion of driving while impaired, DWI. Again, I got this information from a good source, and he was booked into a Smith County jail sometime Saturday night, and he is supposedly going to have a bond hearing before a judge sometime today to see if he will receive bond or he will be rejected for bond or no bond. As of right now, he has no bond. But again, I'm sure this story is going to start hitting out in Vegas because I believe the teams just arrived in Vegas today. But from a reliable source, I did get information that Patrick Mahomes, quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, his father, Patrick Mahomes Sr., was arrested on suspicious of DWI, and he was booked into a Smith County, Texas jail with no bond. Again, he will, according to my source, will have a bond hearing sometime on today, and the judge will decide if he will grant him a bond or he will not be granted a bond. But most likely he will not be attending the Super Bowl because most likely there's going to be some restrictions. If he does get a bond, he will not be allowed to travel. I'm just assuming that. So again, just keep your eyes locked on that story. Again, I'm sure it's going to start hitting here in a little bit. So that is be one distraction that Mr. MVP, Patrick Mahomes, and his publicist and the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm sure they're going to have to deal with because he's going to be asked that question. I'm sure media's out there. They're going to be asking about the situation and what's going on. So I had to get that news out the way. Now, let's talk about the matchup on the field in Vegas, 49ers versus the Chiefs. Again, both teams, I believe, arrived on today. Again, the 49ers open up as of today, I read today, as 3-point favorites. This is a rematch of Super Bowl 54 4 years ago, where the Chiefs came back in the fourth quarter, I believe, got the win. The Chiefs are making their fourth Super Bowl appearance in 5 years, winning 2 of those. Mr. Patrick Mahomes is well on his way to surpassing, in my opinion. If not, he's already surpassed some NFL quarterback greats. The Chiefs lead this all-time series between the 49ers, 8 wins to 7 over the 49ers. And again, they have won the last 3 meetings versus the 49ers, including Super Bowl 54. Speaking of the 49ers, they last won the Super Bowl in 1994 versus the Chargers. They last been to a Super Bowl in 2012. So it's been a minute since the 49ers have won one. Again, I have said this before. I know everybody likes to poke fun at the Cowboys, but their drought, obviously, they hadn't won the Super Bowl since, 96, hadn't been to the NFC Conference Championship since 95. Well, the drought is almost as long for the Niners as far as winning one. Now, they've played in quite a few Super Bowls since then, more than the Cowboys have, but they haven't won one. So they trying to get off the snide and get their first Super Bowl win since 94. The Niners will make their 8th Super Bowl appearance. Again, they 1981, 1984, 1981, 1984, 1988, 1989, 1994, 2012, 2019, and now 2024. So they've won 5 of them. So they're looking to get that 6th trophy, whereas the Chiefs, they're trying to get their 3rd one. Mahomes is trying to get his 3rd one. The Chiefs are also trying to look to go back-to-back for the first time since the Patriots did it back in 2003, 2004. And it's hard to do the back-to-back Super Bowl things in the NFL. The Cowboys made it look easy in the early 90s, but, man, it's very hard to do the back-to-back championships in any professional sport, but especially football. It's definitely hard to do that. So, again, the Chiefs are looking to make history, as well as their all-pro Mr. Everything quarterback, Mr. Mahomes. He is the youngest quarterback to start his 4th Super Bowl and in NFL history. And his coach, Andy Reid, prepares for his 5th Super Bowl. So, again, Patrick Mahomes is looking to make history. His resume is really looking good, stacked up against other quarterbacks. I was just thinking, has he surpassed Aaron Rodgers on that list of great quarterbacks, Super Bowl quarterbacks? Aaron Rodgers only has won 1. Has he surpassed John Elway? When you talk about Super Bowl quarterbacks and NFL greats, I think Elway only has 2 Super Bowl wins. Is he surpassed Troy Aikman, even though Troy Aikman has 3? Has he already surpassed him as far as winning as Super Bowl caliber type quarterbacks? So we'll see. Derek says, say, Ken, if the judge gets tickets, will he be out today and on the plane in the morning? Hey, D, I don't know, Derek. He might be. That's an interesting question. So I don't know. It just depends on what type of mood the judge is in. If he's willing to take bribes, you never know. That's a damn good question, Derek. I don't know, but we'll see, man. And hopefully this all works out, man. That's just another distraction that Patrick really doesn't need. His pops, needs to make better decisions, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to pass no judgment, but that's the last thing your family don't understand is whatever you do is going to reflect on that the star, even though the star has nothing to do with it. I.e. Jackson Mahomes, his brother, Patrick's brother, younger brother, he's been pretty quiet. He got into a couple of legal issues last year, but he's definitely been on his best behavior. I don't think he's been on social media and TikTok or whatever like that since all that situation happened. So again, back to Patrick, I think he his resume is already written. If he get this third Lombardi trophy, you definitely have to he leapfrog quite a few of those quarterbacks I just mentioned when you talk about greats, man. I mean, he's on his way. As far as the 49ers, speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk about Brock Purdy, the last pick of the 2020 draft, Mr. Irrelevant. I think if he wins this one, he would be the first quarterback that was picked last in the draft in the NFL to win a Super Bowl. So you talk about a hell of a story. That would be a heck of a story too. for Mr. Purdy. He's a Pro Bowler. He was named to the Pro Bowl. Obviously, he won't be able to make it to this one. He'll be playing in the Super Bowl. I think the Pro Bowl is actually being played today, if I'm not mistaken. He led the league this year in NFL passer rating. It was 2023, and his career stats, again, he was the last pick in the 2022 draft. His career stats, he's thrown for 5,654 yards. He has a 68.7 completion percentage, 44 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and he has a 111.4 passer rating in his second year. So Brock Purdy is always, it's been either he's been good or he's been very bad this year. So when he's good, and everybody's singing his praises. When he's bad, and they calling him the worst thing that ever. So we'll see what happens. So we're gonna see if he can stay out of the way. Derek says, "Stay out the way until the mission is complete." Yep, that is correct. Hey, and that's spoken from a military guy. I believe Derek was in the military, so that sounds like a military saying, if I'm not mistaken, classmate. So you are right. Stay out of the way until the mission is complete. And speaking of missions completed, again, 49ers trying to complete their mission. The number one seed in the NFC. They had a couple of bumps on the road getting to this game, to the Super Bowl, but they were able to weather the storm. They got all the weapons on the offensive side of the ball. You know what Christian McCaffrey brings, Deebo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. But that defense is probably going to have to step it up too. They're going to have to get some pressure on Mr. Mahomes. They traded for Chase Young, got him in there to help Bosa to bring get some pass rush on Mahomes. And then you got the linebackers of Fred Warner, who's a beast. And then you got that secondary back there they're probably not going to really have to – they're going to have to worry, but the Chiefs' wide receiving core hasn't been that great. So, we'll see what happens. My buddy Deshaun said a Kurt Warner story. He'll get a movie. You know what? That is so true. That's true, Deshaun. If he wins this thing, he probably will get a Netflix movie or something like that. I agree. So Brock Purdy, again, he just has to manage the game. I hate to say that. That's been the word all over the internet after Cam Newton said that, Dak Prescott and I believe Brock Purdy and all those guys are game managers. I get what he was saying. And it's okay to be a game manager when you got offensive weapons too. And if you got a defense, it's okay. Just don't mess it up. There's quite a few quarterbacks I know won the Super Bowl. Well, not quite a few. The one that comes to my mind was Trent Dilfer for the Baltimore Ravens. He definitely was a game manager. He wasn't a game changer. So you can be successful as a game manager, and it's not a sign of disrespect to be known as a game manager. If you got the weapons and the tools at your arsenal, just know how to use them and don't mess it up. Offensive coordinator, call him, make sure you're calling a great game. Head coach, make sure y'all making the right substitutions. So I think this is going to be a good matchup. I think it looks good on paper. Again, the Niners do open up as 3-point favorites. But, I was reading earlier that Patrick Mahomes, ever since he's won every game he's been an underdog in. And so, he was an underdog going into Buffalo. He was an underdog going into Baltimore. So he's won every game he's been an underdog in. So, I won't count him out in Vegas. I just think the Niners, team-wise, overall, I think they have a better team. But again, when you're talking about a one-game championship, sometimes the better team doesn't win. It's just the team that's the best that day. That's really what the Super Bowl boils down to. It ain't sometimes a better team win. It's whoever is the best that day. So that's what it's going to come down to next Sunday in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs getting it on, a rematch again of the Super Bowl 4 years ago, 54. And I'd like to know who you got. And we're going to move. Speaking of that, I ran across this. We're going to move on to our next topic. Who you rooting for? That is the question. Who you rooting for? And let me preface this. This is not a legitimate graphic that you see that television news and sports make. I actually ran across this meme on X, formerly known as Twitter. And it asks, who are you rooting for? Who America is rooting for in the Super Bowl. And as you can see in the red, obviously that's the state of Missouri and the state of Kansas. that's Kansas City Chiefs. They rooting for obviously that makes sense. We get that. And if you look at the maroon over there in California, only the northern part, they're rooting for San Francisco, which makes sense. San Francisco is in Northern California. And all the other gray area is, can they both lose? Now, again, this was a NFL meme that was created by someone, probably a disgusted fan that their team didn't win or didn't get out of the playoff round, i.e., I can speak for myself, my Packers, we go on fishing. I'm sure this. So it was either made by Ravens, Bills, Dolphins, somebody, Cowboys, again, Packers, somebody made this. But it was funny to me. They said all that gray was for those that don't want both of them to lose. But I have to kind of correct them on Texas, because I think there's a small portion of Texas, especially the eastern part of Texas, where I am, Tyler, Texas, Longview, Jacksonville, Nacogdoches, all that area. I got a funny feeling that they are going to be split rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers, because there are some East Texans on both of those teams. Let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs. And everybody knows Mr. Patrick Mahomes is from straight out of White House, Texas, right outside of Tyler, who happens to be a two-time Super Bowl champ, two-time Super Bowl MVP, two-time NFL MVP, 2018, 2022, the NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2018, two-time first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro in 2020, six-time Pro Bowler, two-time NFL passing touchdown leader. We all know he's probably going to add some more accomplishments to that resume. Again, Patrick Mahomes is from straight out of White House, Texas, outside of Tyler. And if you want to kind of know where that is in location to Dallas, Tyler, White House, Longview, Nacogdoches, Jacksonville is roughly 2.5 to 3 hours east of Dallas, Texas. Now let's move over to Longview, Texas, straight out of Longview. Left tackle for the San Francisco 49ers, Trent Williams. He's a three-time first-team All-Pro, 2021, 2023. Second-team All-Pro in 2015. He's an 11-time Pro Bowler. He is one of the Washington Commanders' 90 greatest players. If you don't know, he was traded from the Commanders to the Niners a few years ago. And so he is straight out of Longview, Texas, a Longview Lobo. So, again, we got those two players right there from East Texas. So East Texas is probably going to be split. Some going to be rooting for Kansas City. Some going to be rooting for the 49ers. Now let's move to the Dallas, Texas area. For the 49ers, we got a player straight out of Dallas, Texas, straight out of South Oak Cliff, and his safety, Tashawn Gibson, Sr. He was a Pro Bowler in 2014. His NFL career, he was originally drafted by the Cleveland Browns in 2012. For his career, he had 684 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 33 interceptions. He has 68 pass deflections, and he scored 3 defensive touchdowns. So Tashawn Gibson Sr. straight out of Dallas. So the Dallas area is probably going to be a little bit maroon as well, rooting for him. And then we got one more player that went to Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches, Texas, the oldest town in Texas, by the way. Defensive end B.J. Thompson, who is a rookie with the Kansas City Chiefs. He originally played at Baylor University. Then he transferred to SFA and finished his career there in 2019-2022. And he was a 5th-round pick, the number 166 player chosen by the Kansas City Chiefs in this year's past NFL draft. So, again, even though Texas is grayed out on this, I guarantee you East Texas is going to be split with those colors. It's going to be some with the red and some with the maroon. And I know quite a few Chiefs fans, and I know quite a few Niners fans in East Texas. And I'm sure they're going to be getting their root on. So we can't wait. Again, Super Bowl is going down next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. Central on CBS, and everybody's going to be having their jerseys, and the Super Bowl parties will be getting it on. Now, we're going to move on to basketball. I have to talk about this, man. If you know me, those that know me know I am a Michael Jordan guy. He is my GOAT. There's no debate about it. I ain't arguing with nobody. We ain't going back and forth. You can present all your analytics and all your information. At the end of the day, you ain't changing my mind. He's my GOAT. That is, it is what it is, because I ain't trying to change nobody else's mind on who they GOAT is anyway. Well, his former North Carolina alum, Rasheed Wallace, went on a podcast a couple of days ago. If you didn't see the story, I actually did something on it. You can check it out at TFG Sports Media or Kendrick Sports Hustle. You can check out that story. Don't go there yet, but you can check it out. And he basically said that he watched MJ get his ass busted. He's basically said that MJ as a defensive player was overrated and he wasn't all that great. He said there was even guys better than MJ as far as defensively during his time. But what I found funny, which I was laughing listening through this whole soundbite, because first of all, Rasheed Wallace, he's an NBA champ, won one with the Pistons. He was a fourth overall pick in the 1994 draft. I get it, all-star, four-time all-star, but he never was named to an all-defensive team himself, period. So defense wasn't his forte. So for him to talk about somebody that defense was overrated, he didn't even make a defensive team. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I thought it was interesting that he named three players that he said that basically busted Mike's ass. Clyde Drexler, Joe Dumars, and J.R. Rider. Well, I went and looked up their numbers versus each other, and none of them really busted Mike's ass. I mean, Clyde averaged 20.4 points versus Mike, but Mike averaged 30.1 points versus him. Joe Dumars averaged 15.2 points versus Mike in 70 games. Mike averaged 30.7 points versus Joe Dumars. J.R. Rider averaged 23.8 points versus Mike, and they only played 5 times. Mike averaged 33.6 points per game. So I'm trying to figure out where did they bust his ass at, Rasheed? I'm trying to figure that out. Where did they bust his ass at? I don't know. Mike did, I know numbers don't tell the whole story. The eye test definitely has a lot to do with it, but MJ did win Defensive Player of the Year in 1988 as well as a scoring title. He was named to the All-Defensive Team 9 times. He led the league in steals 3 times. Again, numbers don't tell the whole story, but they write some of it. I'm just trying to see what Rasheed, what he's smoking. I don't know, man. I just think now these former athletes just like to say stuff because it sounds different, and they want to be different. They want to get the hot take, to get the clicks, to get to go viral. And I get it, and that's his opinion. First of all, that's Rasheed's opinion. He played in the NBA. I didn't. I get it, but that still don't. Just because you played doesn't mean that you know exactly what you're talking about. And I just found holes in his whole comment. But again, it's the Michael Jordan slander. It started when Scottie Pippen, about The Last Dance, and he wrote his book, and it's been going and going and going. But what's funny, MJ doesn't really respond, and I think that's the best way to handle noise is to don't even respond. So. Again, that's Rasheed's opinion, but I think his opinion was full of BS. And I don't even think he believed what he said. I think Rasheed was half high when he said this. And I really do. So I don't even think he believed what he said. But again, according to Rasheed, that Mike's defensive prowess, he was overrated, and the NBA just wanted to hype him up. But in order to be hyped up, you got to put up some numbers to hype, in my opinion. And I mean, Mike had the numbers, so that's neither here nor there. So that's my take. That's my take on Mr. Rasheed Wallace. So again, we're getting down close to the end of our show. I want to thank my guy Derek, my classmate Derek Key, for dropping in and hollering at me, Deshaun, as well. I want to read a couple of comments real quick. Deshaun says, Rasheed on that goody good. Right, Deshaun. He definitely is on that goody good, in my opinion. So again, I want to thank you guys for dropping in. Derek, my brother, appreciate you dropping in. Deshaun, thank you for dropping in. I'm gonna give you my Black History Sports moment before we get out of here. I did some with this being the start of Black History Month, I want to at least lead the show with a Black History moment, and all month I'm gonna probably be doing that. And since we were mostly talking about the NFL, I found this Black History moment that was very pertinent to what we're talking about today, Super Bowl coaching and all that. Well, in 1920, if you didn't know, Fitz Pollard and Barbie Marshall became one of the first two African Americans in the NFL. In his second season, Pollard led the Akron Pros to their first championship, and the following season, he would be named their co-head coach, becoming the first African-American coach in pro sports history, and was still an active player. And I thought that was a pretty cool Black History sports moment. Again, 1920, Fitz Pollard and Barbie Marshall became one of the first two African-Americans in the NFL, and Fitz Pollard will eventually become the first African-American head coach in the NFL. And speaking of Black head coaches, we had some head coaches that were African-American that got some jobs this week. By the way, we already know the dean of the Black head coaches now is actually Mike Tomlin. So we have like 6 now. We have Tomlin with the Steelers. We have Gerard Mayo with the Patriots. We have Antonio Pierce with the Raiders. We have D'Amico Ryans with the Texans. We have Raheem Morris with the Falcons. And we have Todd Bowles with the Buccaneers. But we also have some other ethnicities as head coaches. We have the Dolphins' Mike McDaniel, who's multiracial. We also have the Panthers' new head coach. I think his name is Dave Canales. He's Mexican-American. And then we have the Jets' Robert Salah. He is Lebanese. So now, we have 6 African-American head coaches in the NFL. And, that's it's still a ways to go, but it's a whole lot better than it has been because, the league is basically 75% African-American players. And so I definitely believe that the league should have more African-American head coaches. So that has been my Black History moment right here for TFG Sports Media. Now, another head coaching I got to talk about real quick. I forgot to tell you, Dan Quinn is the new head coach for the Washington Commanders. He was the former defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. He was there 3 seasons. He took that unit to be put them in the top 10 in his 3 seasons there, that unit, Dallas defense. So now they're looking for a defensive coordinator, and it's being reported that Mike Zimmer, who was the former Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator back in the gap, he's interested in coming back. So there is maybe a reunion of sorts with Mike Zimmer with the Cowboys. Also, I heard that Ron Rivera is probably going to be interviewed for the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator position as well. So there was some of our head coaching news. And before we get out of here, last but certainly not least, we got to give our respects and send condolences to the Weathers family. Rest in power to Mr. Carl Weathers, a.k.a. Apollo. You know who Apollo was. He was the nemesis of Rocky in all the Rocky movies. And Mr. Carl Weathers was a legendary Hollywood actor who also played professional football for a couple of seasons. He played 1 year with the Oakland Raiders, and he played a couple of seasons in the Canadian League before he retired and went full-time into acting. He was in quite a few things. Action Jackson, the Predator. He played in Happy Gilmore, Arrested Development. He even did some directing. I even remember him from an episode of Good Times when he was the husband of Miss Wiggly. If y'all remember that episode when JJ had to paint that picture of the lady that lived in the building, but they call her Miss Wiggle, but he was her husband and was going to jack up JJ. So Mr. Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, he will always be associated with that character. And so we definitely want to say rest in power to Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers, who died at the age of 76. According to his family, he died in his sleep. Derek Key says Dallas needs to replace Mike and head coach. Who would you choose for replacement? Well, we know Mike McCarthy is not headed anywhere. So he's coaching in his last year of his deal, so he would be there at least 1 year. After next season, who would I replace him with? That's a good question. I don't know. I do know the NFL is looking to go younger for when it comes to head coaches. They're not really trying to go the older route. That's why you see Bill Belichick not get hired, because he wanted to have a little bit more control with that the Falcons wanted to give him. So that was why they pretty much went a different way and hired Raheem Morris. with the Falcons. I think I left his name out if I did, as far as black head coaches, Raheem Morris as well was named Atlanta Falcons head coach. Who would, if the Cowboys probably go after a coach after next season, it's probably going to be some little young hotshot guy that they think is offensive coordinator. That's the name of the game. I don't know who they would think about. People have been putting prime time name in that cap. Deion Sanders, that's been a name that I've been hearing pop up. I don't think Deion wants to coach in the NFL, but you never know. That's my thoughts on that. As far as defensive coordinator, I think they're going to take their time with it. I don't think they're going to make a decision as far as who they're going to go with the Super Bowl going on this week. But I wouldn't be surprised if they bring back Mike Zimmer, because he has a relationship with the organization. And his defensive teams under Parcells, they were pretty good, top-notch units as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Zimmer gets the job, or even Ron Rivera. We'll see where they go with that DC. But I would like for them to go with Al Harris, who is their secondary coach. I think, a lot of those those DBs love Al Harris, and I think he got what it takes to be a defensive coordinator. But he doesn't have the experience as far as play calling and whatnot. So we'll see what happens. Derek said she was fine though. Yeah, she was, Derek. Yeah, she was fine. So that's been my show today. Again, I want to thank Derek Key, my brother, class 87 brother. I want to thank my brother Deshaun Williams for watching. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channels. That's TFG Sports Media, Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SportZhustle on YouTube. Go check out some of the other stories I've posted. I need to get those views up, man, because I'm this close to getting monetized for creating content on both channels. I already reached my 1,000 subscriber mark on Kendrick Sports Hustle. Give myself a hand on that. But I just got to get those views, get those watch hours up. So go check out some of the videos, the content I posted. Share it to your social media platforms. And also make sure you like and follow Kendrick Sports Hustle and TFG Sports Media on Facebook. And you can follow me on Facebook as well, Kendrick Roline Henderson. You can follow me on Instagram. That's KDrick1969, KDRICK. And you can also follow me on TikTok at Kendrick Henderson 51. So go check me out and all that, man. Appreciate it, Derek. Much love to you, brother. You stay blessed as well. And so we're going to get out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Oh, the Grammys are on tonight. If you want to watch the Grammys, I won't. I forgot that's on tonight. And we got some NBA games going on. If you want to watch some sports, and I think the Pro Bowl is going to be, it's flag football, but it's football if you want to check that out. So go check that out. Make sure you come back next Sunday or Saturday. I'm going to have a live guest from Las Vegas. Hopefully my man KOTV Sports Director Michael Coleman will be live with me so we can talk about all things Super Bowl, either Saturday or Sunday. Make sure you keep it locked here. I will definitely post a preview or a post when that show will happen, but it will either be Saturday or Sunday. So keep it locked here to TFG Sports Media on YouTube and Kendrick Sports Hustle on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Again, I'm Kendrick the Sports Guy. We will see you on the other side and on the next report. I am out. Peace.